Ladies and gentlemen, that sounded like we was at the circus, right? Like that, sound kind of hype. Let's keep it running. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the greatest show on the internet. This is not right, not wrong. I have here with me the lovely Tamika with the quote behind her. I can't see what it says right now, but I did see it before. In addition to Brother Ja, who's with us as well, who didn't go get the lineup today. So he said he gonna throw the hat on, but the knowledge is still there. So today's topic is 9/11. So I don't know if we've ever spoke about 9/11 before off camera. I got your story. Everybody has one. It's what they say is a watershed moment. Everybody knew where they were, what they were doing when they heard about it, when someone told them about it, when they woke up. So many different stories. We're just going to discuss ours, where you were at the time, how you felt after it happened, how do you feel now 20 years later, and we're still going on with it, and more importantly, how did it change you as a person, knowing that on that particular day we lost just short of 3,000 people, just like that. Uh, the worst disaster that ever happened, the worst terrorist disaster that ever happened in American history that we could think of. I think prior to that, it was Pearl Harbor. So, as always, seeing as how we're all gentlemen here, you know, I like to always defer to the lovely Tamika to start us off. So, Tamika, please tell us where you were when you first heard about it, or when you first saw it, or if you want to call, was it 1010 wins, and how has it changed you?
Yeah. Hello, brothers. Um, so where was I? I mean, all of us remember, right? We all remember exactly where we were. There's no
Definitely.
escaping that. I was, I had just returned back to work. It was my very first day. Sorry about that.
No worries.
It was my very first day back to work from maternity leave. And I'm sitting at my desk. It was a small office. It was only a two-person office, myself and my supervisor. And I start to get phone calls at the desk. And I'm like, oh my God, it like I just got to this off back to the office. I can't get all of these phone calls. Um, and the person who was calling was telling me, a plane just hit the Trade Center, something, turn on the news or whatever. There was a TV in my office, and I'm like, you're kidding me. I like that sounds horrible, but I can't possibly turn on the TV. It's like I just got back to work.
Mm-hmm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we've had a plane hit the Trade Center before. And I think maybe it was a small propeller plane or something, and so it wasn't really a big deal. And I feel silly saying that now, but at the time I just didn't think it was such a big deal. And a few minutes passed, and then some coworkers from other offices started to come in and say something's going on. Can we turn on your TV? And that's when I finally was like, okay, something's up. My supervisor wasn't actually in the office at the moment. So I turned on the TV and saw everything going down. And like the rest of us, I just sitting there stunned and saw watching the second plane hit the towers was
Mm.
when it became clear that this was not a mistake, that this is a big deal. And I worked in the same organization that my mom worked in. And so I'm calling to her desk to see where she is, and she's not answering. And little bit by little bit, the panic starts to well up. And I had two children at that point, and I had a best friend who worked in that area. And I start trying to call her and get her on the phone. And at that point, all of us can remember the phone lines are shot. Everybody
Done.
is making phone calls. You can barely get through. And so I'm trying to call this friend and I'm seeing what's happened on the news and I can't get through to her and things are going on. And I just remember walking, leaving the office. That was it. That was it. I shut the office down, left the office, attempted to go pick up my children to go get on a New York City bus. And it just, everyone, I've never seen New York that way. Everyone was out in the streets. Everybody was talking to each other. Everyone was trying to help each other. Cars were picking up strangers. Buses,
Yes.
people were just pulling people on the buses. It was the biggest show of humanity in the midst of disaster that I have ever seen in my life.
I agree. I agree.
And I ended up getting to one of my kids was at daycare along with the son of one of my best friends, and I didn't know where his mom was, and so I picked up both my son and him, and I'm trying to stay calm in the midst of all kinds of panic, and I take her son to her mother's house and pick up my daughter who was at her mother's house and trying to figure out how I'm going to get home. It was just the most, it rocked my foundation. It rocked my foundation. And as an American, I was arrogant, right? I didn't think that things like that could happen on American soil. And it was scary, it was terrifying, it was humbling. It brought me closer to all kinds of communities. And it made me feel a part of even more so a part of this New York City community. But it was also devastating. Like, it took me forever to go down to that area. And even now, when I go down into that area, there's I can't help but to be emotional. It changed me forever. 20 years later, and there's certain images I still can't see, I can't hear, I don't, forever change.
Yeah, that's a long time. I mean, and those are the type of events that'll do something to you and carry on into the rest of your life. And then you have to tell your kids about it who weren't there, because they're definitely going to ask, seeing as how we just recently celebrated the anniversary. So the kids that wasn't there, they're going to see us all over the news, every single channel, and they're going to have questions about what we saw on TV and what happened. So they're going to want to know, and we're going to have to provide answers for all of that. Brother Job.
Yeah, very surreal moment in my lifetime. I'm imagining all my lifetime. That was an image that you would typically see in an action movie, but to see it on live TV, for me personally, I saw it on live TV because I couldn't get to the subway, because that day for me, my wife worked very close to the financial district. She worked on Canal. She worked off a canal. Was it Canal and Hudson? That's where she worked at. So it's kind of very
close.
Yeah, it's very close. And so she was down there, so she witnessed it live. She looked out the window and saw it happen. I, on the other hand, where I was coming from home, we lived in Brooklyn at the time, and I was going on a job interview. And as I was walking towards the train station, we lived near the tube line, so I was walking towards the train station. Brother was walking past me, and he was like, "Oh, I know you ain't going to the train. I know you ain't going to the train, right?" I was like, "What?" I said, "What you mean?" No, they blew. He was like, "They blew up the towers." Kept on walking. It's like, "What? They blew up the towers?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "They blew up the towers, bro." I said, "What? What you talking about?" So I kept on walking. Like, I was like, "All right, like, he's bugging." All right. So I just kept on walking. And then a couple other people were saying to me, he said, "You can't go on the train. You can't." People saying you can't go on the train. They attacked the tower. The towers were attacked. The towers blew up. What? So I immediately about face ran back home, and I turned on the TV and I saw it. It was on every channel, of course, every channel, world to world. And then after I saw it on every channel, I'm like, holy crap, right?
It's real.
Yeah, like, wow, like this really happened. This is happening. So I had to call. I tried to make calls, and of course, you know, like to T's point, all the phone lines are shot. I'm making calls, so now I'm worried for my wife because my wife is out there, right? So I just had to. There was nothing I could do. There's nothing I could wait for, stuff like that. So I had to sit home and wait, and I just had to pray that she was fine, pray that she was all right, and you know, I pretty much waited all day. Like I couldn't do nothing. So for me, just the feeling of helplessness, the fact that I couldn't get to her, the fact I couldn't get to my wife to do anything to help or try to protect. It's the protector and the man that comes out, and when you can't act on your protection, for me, when I can't act on my protection, there's a feeling of helplessness. So you can do just sit there and wait and hope
wait.
everything is all right and pray. So you know, Mark, you know I'm a spiritual guy just like you. So pray, wait, and then I think she didn't get home. She didn't get home until that evening. So when she came in, I just gave her a big hug, like, I'm glad you're all right. You okay? What happened? And she was telling me her experience, her ordeal, where she had to. So her story was when she saw it go down, they immediately evacuated the building. They evacuated the building, and then police. She saw police, FDNY, ambulances flying down the Hudson, flying down Canal, right? Just flying down the street towards there, and crowds of people is coming outside, coming out the building. Crowds of people coming outside and stuff like that, being directed by police. Because by then, after a while, once they evacuated the building, that whole downtown area was shut down. At some point, they locked everything down from
Everything.
from Canal on. And so there was she said that once they came out the building, I'm trying to remember the story as accurate as I can. It's probably not totally accurate, but from what I can remember, she said once they came out the building, it was like a herd of people and they had to walk uptown. Everybody walked uptown because downtown was shut down. So everybody had to walk uptown. See what I'm saying? Because there's no way anybody was going to Brooklyn. No way. No way anybody's getting to Brooklyn at this point.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. If you ain't about a Brooklyn Bridge, you ain't getting to Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So everybody walked uptown. Everybody walked uptown. So she said they all walked uptown to I want to say to like uptown Manhattan, and then they found a restaurant bar to just sit and rest and relax and watch the news, and everybody was sitting around and talking and going over what happened and talking about what happened. And just like to T's point, there was a sense of humanity because everybody was talking to each other, having conversation about the ordeal and share their own stories and concerns and things of that nature. And her and her colleagues and some of her staff, they was chilling in this restaurant bar, waiting until it became night and evening, right? And then they started getting driven. Then people started picking them up, saying if you want to go in this direction, cab drivers was out there giving out free cab rides and stuff like that. Wasn't charged with giving free cab rides, sending them, trying to get them to their destination. Like whether you're doing uptown or you're going home, going to Brooklyn, that's how that was happening. So it was like it really started out with people offering rides, cab drivers offering rides, and so that's what happened. She and a group of other people were driven back to Brooklyn. Of course, they had to go through certain detours. Lots of barricades were up. It was crazy. It was crazy out there.
It was beyond crazy.
It was beyond crazy out there. So she was fine. She finally was able, like I said, she was finally able to get home till that evening. She came and I just gave her a big hug, and then she told me the story that I'm telling you guys now, what happened. You know what I'm saying? So it was crazy. And plus I try, of course, you can't call nobody. All phone lines are dead. So you couldn't even, so I couldn't even call my mother. Can't call my pops, can't call nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody.
All the lines are dead. So yeah. So that
That
was,
feeling of helplessness was real.
it was very real, especially for a man who understands his role as a man, especially when he's, you know, when he's with someone, when he's with a significant other, and especially for a man who embraces that role of protector with no problem. Of course, there's a feeling of helplessness because I couldn't do shit, but just let God handle it. Plain and simple.
Faith.
Yeah,
Faith. It was all
yeah,
faith.
yeah, all faith. Exactly. So yeah, that was my ordeal.
So how did it change you? If anything, how did it change you? Everything that took place that day and the days after.
The days after that, I think my mind frame, or my, you know, my point of thought with regards to the whole thing is entirely different. You know, as I'll just say, it just goes along the line of on that conspiracy theory wave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's a whole nother subject. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I don't want to get into that in this segment. But
Dig it.
yeah. So them thoughts was running. Them thoughts was running.
Were you already a conspiracy theorist, or did it start then?
No, I already was one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm unapologetic about that. I know some people would label people like me as conspiracy theorists like crazy, or you just I'm just way off base with my narrative, whatever the case may be. But yeah, especially when it comes to our country and the government of our country. Oh yeah, I'm like, I wonder what this is about. Because you know there was a bombing prior to 9/11.
93. I think it was
Exactly.
90,
It was
93.
It was 1993. It was 1993. Yes, it was 1993. I'm like, what? And then now it really went down in '01. You know, my heart went out to. I was empathetic to all the victims that perished, all the firefighters, all the police men and women that perished, the victims, the civilians that perished. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
And
beyond.
it's beyond, you know, just from a humanity standpoint, it's heartbreaking to see an image of a person jump in front of a building, like to see an image like that. You know what I mean?
And
The
to have
building,
that image repeated hundreds of
yes,
times. Hundreds of people.
hundreds of times. Because
Hundreds of times.
because you know how the media do, you know how the news do, right? You
The
know,
sensationalism.
yeah, the sensationalism, you know how they do.
Of course. Of
Well,
course.
like, let's see this again.
Over and over.
Right? This
And
is terrible.
even
Right.
within that, you had some
Yeah.
people jumping out the window holding hands.
Holding hands, yeah. It was a terrible ordeal. It was a sad ordeal. But how it transitioned into the forthcoming war after, that's when I was like, really? We're gonna go fight because of that? I'm like, word, all right. It's like, all right, W. Okay, W.
Come on, W.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, W. Okay, all right. You know, but
C1, before you allow Ja to get all deep in his theories, I'm sure there's a few of them. Where were
no, I
you
ain't gonna get
born?
into it on this episode. Nope. I ain't gonna do
Listen,
it. It's all right.
that's definitely gonna be another topic.
Yeah.
We could just label the topic conspiracy theories and dive into all of them. and then go forward. That's definitely going to be rather lengthy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my 9/11 story, it begins me going to work. I believe at that time I needed to be at work at around 8:30. See how I said at or around 8:30?
Uh,
That's different than you having to be to work before 8:30. I said at or around.
I'm
Um,
sure in your employment contract it said, but never mind that. Let's not split hairs.
so as a lot of other people are saying in regards to their moment on 9/11, it was a very nice day. Very nice sunny day. On my way to work, I get off the train. And I believe at the time that I arrived, the first plane had already hit. So I have a bunch of ties at work inside of my locker. So when I go upstairs, whatever I have in my hand, I put that at my desk and I go to my locker. So I go to my locker, I grab one of the ties, take the tie out. There was a young lady that worked there. She had a funny sense of humor. So as I grabbed the tie, I'm getting ready to close the locker. She said, "Mark, the tie was burning." I said, "What?" She said, "The tie was burning. A plane hit one of the World Trade Center tie." I said, "Whatever." I didn't believe her at all. She had a funny sense of humor. She was just known for being a jokester. So the path that I had to take back to the office that I worked in, I have to pass a couple of other offices. So both of the offices, I see people looking out the window. So what the hell is going on? How come nobody working? Why are you looking at the window? This is what we doing here? So I go into my office, same thing. I said, "Oh shit, she wasn't joking." So everybody looking at the window, same thing. Everybody else still pilot error. One plane, but we see all the plumes of smoke. It's a lot of smoke. And everybody has their thoughts about what happened, the pilot ever, what floor that was. But at no time did anybody ever think that any of the buildings were going to fall. That wasn't a conversation. It wasn't a thought. It wasn't a notion. We just thought these buildings were strong enough to withstand anything. And I never thought that they were going to fall. Okay, so now nobody could work now. It's a plane inside one of the towers. No one could work. This is something we need to look at. So after we standing there for 15 to 20 minutes, one of the supervisors said, "Okay, let's try to get some work done today." A few minutes after that, the second plane hit. Now everything changed. Whole different ball game now. Everything is going down. Now people start to panic. So I didn't panic though, because I didn't have a point of reference to work off of to know what to do in a situation like this, or how would this affect me? I'm all the way in Long Island City. Not that that's that far from Manhattan where the towers were, but I didn't have a point of reference to go off of to know to be scared. I'm just amazed by what's happening. And the whole time I'm thinking, how are these firefighters going to get all of these people out? So, from a kid in any fire, if there's a fire, you can't use the elevators. So you got to come down all of these steps. That's going to take a very long time. So I didn't try to call my family or anything like that, because still at this time, I'm thinking everyone's going to be safe. I hear all the sirens and everything coming from everywhere. They're going all up the FDR, because I have a very nice view across the East River of the FDR. See all emergency vehicles. Everybody's racing down there. I thought everybody was going to be saved. So now everyone has on the radio, we're listening to 1010 winds. So now we hear about a plane hitting the Pentagon. So it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So now we know we're definitely under attack. There's no question about it. This is what's going on. So the only thing we're thinking now is what other buildings they're going to hit next. So we think about the Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building, any landmark that you could think of. We're thinking that's what we're going to hit. We definitely was thinking about the White House. So we're thinking about this while we're talking. So during the course of this conversation, That's when one of the towers fell. I believe it was the North Tower that fell first. Forgive me if my memory serves me correct. I think the North Tower fell first. So now some of the people at my job, they start to cry. Because once the building falls, we already know the death toll. That's too much to take in. It's overwhelming. You know, you just have to sit there and kind of think, wow, that wasn't me. Why was that not me? I'm here. I'm so blessed. But then at the same time, that's so unfortunate for everybody that has to face that. That's too much. Fast forward, the second building falls down. And we see the smoke just as thick as it could be. We couldn't even see it anymore. All you see is smoke just going on all into Jersey and just drifting away all into Brooklyn. And they had closed my building that I was in. They didn't let anybody leave the building. The security guards that we have in the building didn't let anybody leave. Same thing, all the phones were down. I couldn't get contact with anyone. At the time, my daughter was 2, so she was home. So she was fine. So I can't get in contact with anybody. And at the time, I was dating a young lady that worked in the building. Thankfully, she's fine. She was late that day also. I guess that day seems to be a late day for a lot of people. So now all this is going on. Both of the buildings have fallen. The plane had hit the Pentagon, and then we found out about the 4th plane that crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And the passengers that were on the plane, they decided to take matters into their own hand, and they crashed that plane. So that's 4 planes now that happened on American soil. And we're thinking about our vulnerability. Like D1 said, this is not supposed to happen in the USA. This is the United States of America. So the vulnerability is lost. And at the same time, the vulnerability is being lost. The entire city turned into a utopia. Everybody loved each other. Everybody loved what each other stood for. Everybody loved who each other was. Everyone was accepting of each other. And this didn't just happen that day. This was going on for some time. In my estimate, I'd say that went on for about a week, where everybody was in love with each other.
It lasted.
It was
for a
harmony.
while.
It was utopia. Exactly what you want this to be, what you read about in the Bible, you really got to see the best of humanity come out during the course of that time. I actually went down there, I think 2 days after it happened. I had my camcorder and everything, and I was trying to get as close as I could possibly get to where the towers fell. Of course, they had all the barricades and everything. So I'm standing there for less than 5 minutes, and my skin started to itch. So I didn't know what that was, but I didn't think anything of it. And one of my arms started to itch. So then the right arm started to itch. Like, what the hell is going on? Then my throat started to burn. I was like, oh man, something is going on down here. This air is definitely bad. I need to get out of here. So I got some footage of being down there and the firemen's working and the cops and everybody else that was down there working their best to try to get the fire contained, because even days after, the fire was still burning. So I have some footage of that. So then I left. So after this utopia passed, and now we're back to people thinking about themselves, then the ire turned straight to Muslims, people that are from the Middle East, and people not being educated enough to recognize that it's not the religion that did this, it is the person or the people that just did that. But you have to be educated enough to recognize that, but some people didn't. They just wanted to hate anybody that came from there, and that's when everything took place in regards to the hatred. But if you know anyone that's a Muslim, you know that's a religion of peace. I don't happen to be a Muslim, but I know people of that faith. So I wasn't one of those people that adopted that ideology and just blame all the Muslims for what happened. Whoever it is that did that in those particular planes, I just blame them, and I solely blame them. And how it changed me, and me seeing that, and me seeing my co-workers and the people crying, and then the buildings falling and everything that took place thereafter, how it changed me, I'll just go back to the vulnerability and seeing that this can happen anywhere. For a long time, we never thought that this could happen in the United States. And if it did, I didn't think New York City would be the place. But as some people say, New York City is the capital of the world. If it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be here. If not DC, White House, or the Capitol. And then it happened. And it also changed me to the fact that I got to see a glimpse of what we could all look like as a people. But unfortunately, it took these circumstances to bring that out. So it was definitely bittersweet what I saw that day. And eventually, as time went on, later on into the afternoon, the trains and everything came back. I rode the train home. I got the chance to speak to everybody, all of my loved ones, and found out that everything was fine. And I just kept watching the news over and over in regards to the people jumping out in the window. I didn't want to see that over and over. So when I realized that would be coming on, I just changed the channel to another station and have them just speak. And they kept showing Bush over and over. He didn't know what he was supposed to do or try to do or want to do in that particular situation when he was in the school in Florida. I don't think any president probably would have known at that particular time what to do. But like I said, it's one of those watershed moments, and you think about it. And I thought this would be a great idea to discuss in keeping with we just celebrating the 20th anniversary. And a lot of things came up out of that in regards
recognizing the 20th anniversary.
Recognizing the 20th anniversary. And, the Patriot Act came out of that. A lot of people was upset over that because it took away a lot of our civil liberties and different things we may have taken for granted. But the bills that were passed were more so, they would say, in the interest of national security. You understand? Mm-hmm. So a lot of things came after of that we took for granted prior to, but it happened. So we're kind of the mindset that something like that can never happen again. Or will it ever happen again? I've been to a Freedom Tower a number of times. I'm glad that they rebuilt. I really thought that they was going to build 2 buildings just like they did before. Mm-hmm. I thought that would have been a great idea. I've seen the reflecting pool and everything down there is beautiful, how they redid the whole thing. And I like the reminder, but it's just one of those things that you'll never forget and you can't forget. And it's good hearing different people's perspectives on it. Like your story, D1, would definitely not be like mine, or Josh's story won't be like yours, and vice versa. And no matter how many people you talk to, you're always going to get a different story.
Yeah.
And they said at no other time in history were there as many proposals than after 9/11.
Really?
No other time in history. That and that shows you what people were coming to grips with. So if I didn't plan on proposing to you prior to 9/11, I don't think I was going to propose after. But some people may feel different than me in regards to that, because they may feel like something else may be imminent. And before this loss takes place, I need to let you know, I love you. Let's get married. Let's do this. Let's solidify this union. But that's what they said. At no other time in history were there more proposals than after 9/11. So that's a different take on it. Go ahead.
I think there were, I mean, you're right. There's no 2 stories that are the same. And there's not been one 9/11 story that I've heard that hasn't touched me. Mm-hmm. And I think at the core of all of the stories are like all of these human qualities. It is the vulnerability, it is the fear, it is the helplessness, it is the confusion, it is the things that I thought mattered have now been rearranged for me. It is just the adjustment of priorities. It is the care for other people. Like that's every 9/11 story I've heard has something like that in there. It's the waiting and the being reunited with someone and holding that person really, really close. Like I was married at that time, and similar to Ja, I couldn't get in touch with my husband. And not until when he came home, I was just like, I might have hated him that morning. And then he came home and I was just like, oh my God. Like it was
Oh
so,
my
I mean,
God.
he was
Romeo
the
and
best thing.
Juliet.
No, it really was. It was just like, it probably added a few more years onto our marriage. 9/11
Oh
did. I
wow.
was just like, it was amazing. And then you felt so lucky if you were able to be reunited because you knew of all the other stories
Mm.
where people weren't being reunited. We saw for weeks and months people walking around with posters of their loved ones. And it just so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
It was it was a lot, and even after the 20 years, for some people, you can never tell anyone how long healing's supposed to take. You just can't. And some people may have suffered more so than others. Some people may have lost a husband and a sister and an aunt. There's no telling. Like I said, no one can tell you how long healing's supposed to take place. But also, I want to know. Let me ask you guys something. Did you, after all this happened, feel any indifference towards people that may have been of Muslim faith, or people that may have been of Middle Eastern descent, in keeping with who they say uh, brought down the towers?
Yeah, nothing.
Um,
Anybody could go first.
Yeah, nothing to do with them. I'll just leave it like that. Had nothing to do with them at all. Nothing.
All right. Do you
and
want?
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I'm not, up to my waist in all types of conspiracy theories. But there was a lot of information that was coming out around this time that was really
Mm,
confusing and really conflicting and didn't make a lot of sense. But aside from that, I don't have it in me to hate a group of people. I just
mm-hmm.
That's just not my thing. I don't do that. I can hate a singular person. Yep, I can do that. Can do that quite easily.
That's
But
simple.
it's simple. That's a piece of cake. I can do that all night and all day. But to hate a group of people, I don't even understand. My mind, my constitution, my body doesn't work like that. I don't understand how that's a thing to do. Like I don't. And then I just to look at that, to look at how horrible 9/11 was, and to feel that vulnerable as an American, and to not take that same perspective and to look across the world and see what other countries have dealt with, and to
Mm-hmm.
like, I just, no, I don't have time to hate. I don't have time to bring pain to other people. I no mm-mm, it wasn't a thing for me.
Yeah, and a lot of the things that took place and a lot of decisions that needed to be made just on the fly, just something to think about when you think about that day and all of the things that took place behind the scenes. So on any average day, or you just putting yourself at any given airport, you sitting there, you may have a layover, so you're there about 3 or 4 hours later than you should have been. On that particular airport, you seeing how many planes going to and fro. You can't even count. Sometimes people get up and look at the window because it's just a beauty watching planes at the airport, land or take off. 5, 10, 15, 20. You just seen them going to and fro. So imagine on that particular day, this has never happened in aviation history. They had to land every single plane in the country.
Yep.
Every single one. So imagine what that took for that to happen. And to this day, I still don't have a full grasp of how that took place and how many other countries you got to get in contact with. You got to get in contact with Canada or South America because you got to divert planes that's coming across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
They over the water. And then planes coming across the Pacific or from side. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. And given that, Bush being the president, apparently he gave the green light for the military to shoot down any plane that was still in the air. So after all of them are grounded, anything that's still up there basically was fair game, which was unfortunate, but this is in the keeping with national security. So, I mean, the death toll you look at, and they're still counting 9/11 survivors, everything that took place in Lower Manhattan, and people that may have suffered thereafter, even the emergency responders that lost their lives years later due to cancer. And the EPA line is saying that the air quality was good when it wasn't, and they're still counting after that. And people that have suffered the therapy for all these years, the toll just keep getting higher and higher in regards to what took place that day. And you can always look at it, and like I said, when you speak to anybody, you're always going to hear something different. I tend to watch it whenever they bring it back up on perspectives of where they were and what they did and what they thought. Hence this topic we're discussing, and how you moved on from that, and if it did or didn't make you a better person. So with that being said, I appreciate both of you sharing both of your perspectives in regards to that. And at another show, we'll definitely speak more towards the conspiracy theories, because I definitely want to hear Josh's perspectives in regards to that, because we're going to utilize this platform for people to speak their piece, speak it up, and speak it out. So, any of you have any last words or thoughts in regards to the topic before we wrap it up?
I don't know if we want to do the conspiracy theory aspect of the of this catastrophe, because I don't know, it might get shut down.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
we can save
That's
that
like,
for another show, and start it with that, and at the same time
That's
we
what
can
my
entertain that in addition to conspiracy theories as a whole. You understand?
I see.
You have a right to think what you think. I don't think we're gonna get shut down unless you're telling people to drink Clorox or something.
Nah.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not.
Do not, disclaimer, do not drink Clorox. Do not.
Please.
Yeah, don't drink Clorox.
Please.
Do not drink Clorox.
Do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
I was just making a point.
Yeah.
Again, don't do that. That's wrong. I know the name of the show is not right, not wrong.
It's gonna get longer and longer.
That is very wrong. So don't do that.
Very wrong.
D1, any last words?
Yeah, thank you for this topic. I don't think I haven't spoken in detail about 9/11 in a really, really, really long time. And it feels a little bit therapeutic to be able to kind of do so. And it also feels sad, I don't know, because I think most of us, whatever changes we had, whatever we felt in, the days and week or weeks after, was short-lived, unfortunately. The good parts of the potential changes, I think, was short-lived, and that sucks, but that's it.
So I thank you both, Brother Ja, the lovely Tamika, and I, Mark Mills. We'll wrap this up for Not Right, Not Wrong, the topic being 9/11. And we will look forward to airing our next topic. Peace and blessings, all.
Peace.